I went in and started very, very low. And I saw the accompanist kind of perk his head up a little bit and look at me like, what are you doing here, right? But I kept going. And then mid-song, I panicked. My panicked lizard brain went in, and I said, I'm dying here, I'm dying. You know what will help this? If I go up an octave in the middle of the song.
Oh, no!
and physically behind the table, you see everybody just like go.
Welcome to My Worst Audition. Welcome back to a very special episode of My Worst Audition. This is not remote. We're obviously recording outside in the midst of somebody hammering 3 houses away. So this will be very fun for you to listen to. Once again, my name is Gary Mahmood, and I am joined by my 2 friends here. Of course, our special guest, Travis Mitchell. Travis has been a New York City actor for 26 years, originally from just outside of Green Bay, Wisconsin. He's been out on 4 Broadway national tours and has worked for multiple regional theaters. Travis has done work on The Blacklist, Saturday Night Live, and played Sergeant Cal Matthews on the season 20 finale of Law & Order SVU in a scene opposite Mariska Hargitay.
I remember that scene.
Oh.
Thank you for interrupting the intro. He currently has 2 award-winning short films on the festival circuit and 5 others in post-production. Travis resides in Astoria, Queens with his wife Juliana and new cat Silas, auditioning mostly from the space between the living room and the kitchen. And of course, sitting next to him is Dave, from whom I did not ask a bio because we weren't sure if he'd actually be able to fit in the frame of this camera. Dave is Jewish, and he is a funny guy. He's fun. He's a Harvard grad. That means he's very smart and excellent writer and generous person and shares things and drinks water from glasses. And that's it. So thank you both for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's good to be here, Gary.
Crushed my bio. You like every writing job I've ever had, I've hired you, Gary, as an actor, and the fact that you couldn't recall a single place that I've worked when recalling my entire career is really heartening.
Dave has worked for The Kicker, a subsidiary of Above Average. That's Lorne Michaels' digital arm. If you don't know Lorne Michaels,
Heard of him.
From SNL fame.
Yeah.
And he's also worked for Major League Baseball. And obviously there's a lot of the stuff, if you've ever looked at my website, which I don't know why you would have, a lot of the sketch comedy stuff that I've been in has been Dave's responsibility. A very funny man.
That's kind of you to say.
There
Happy
you
to
go.
be here.
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah.
And we all, of course, met in the sketch comedy or improv comedy
group.
troupe. Sorry,
Yeah.
8 is Never Enough.
That's right.
Yeah.
Years ago.
Years ago.
When was that? That was...
I joined in 2007. That was like one of my first gigs in New York when I moved right after college.
Nice.
So I got there, and you guys were like already veterans in the show, but they weren't letting Gary perform because Gary had proven that he would easily take his pants off at a moment's notice. And so they were like, in like rehearsal, I was like, oh, that Gary guy, he's really funny. How come they never let him in the shows? They're like, oh, he's the pants guy. He doesn't, we can't let him near children in the audience.
So in my defense, I was allowed to do the late evening
night
shows.
That's right.
Where there were no children.
There were
theoretically.
fewer children.
Fewer children.
Oh, man. Those
Yeah.
were the days. Yeah. No, that was a fun time.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah,
Mhm.
and I think I said it on when I had Rob on, who was also in 8 is Never Enough. In fairness to the troupe, they were really good about bringing in some very funny, talented people. A lot of us have stayed in touch to this day.
Totally.
Yeah, that's wild. That a lot of very talented people that, to your point, they would just remain friends, and that's a rarity, of course, in this business. So, yeah, very cool.
Well, thank you both for joining me here on this somewhat windy day in my backyard in suburban New Jersey. Who knows if this will actually turn out well, but we're giving it a try. We're doing it here, scrunched in. We'll see what works out. And I know, Travis is a huge veteran actor. And, Dave, despite being more of a writer these days, Dave, you've had auditions as well. So if you have an audition story you'd like to share with us from either side of the camera, we're certainly happy to hear that.
Yes. Okay. I do have one that I thought of that was like, it was an audition process that lasted like 8 weeks.
Okay.
Okay. So there were these guys that were writing a new musical, and they held auditions to help them develop their new musical, which is a totally normal thing that happens in New York all the time, right?
Okay.
They just wanted to get a cast, but it wasn't specifically for a reading. It was like, we're going to cast people, and then you're just going to be someone that we can call upon to do a reading whenever we're ready to do a reading.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, I guess there's minimal opportunity cost there, so I will audition. And I got the part, but there was no production, there was no money involved, there was no nothing. It was just like once in a while I'd get an email that was like, hey, we're all meeting on the 21st to do a reading of this musical. And I was like, okay. So then I show up and we do a reading of it. And then they fired me after like 3 readings of it, where I guess I wasn't a good enough singer, and they told me that, which they didn't have to tell me. They could have just said we're going in another direction. And I remember that specifically because it was one of the moments where I was like, I definitely shouldn't be an actor. I definitely shouldn't be a musical theater actor. But I think like because my wife is an actor and a lot of my friends are actors, and they always say like, oh, when I didn't get the role, could they just tell me? And then they want it to be something that's objective, like we need someone taller,
Sure.
or we need someone that looks a certain way, or we needed someone that like looks like the mother character that we've already cast, like something that you can't fix.
Right.
But then if you do find out that the reason why they're letting you go, they're like, yeah, you're like a B- singer, and we needed someone that was like a B+ or better. You're like, damn, all right, I should just get out of the business altogether.
Aww, your dreams were dashed.
Did it occur to you, like, did you have any interest in going and being like, I could be a better singer? Or you were just like, nope, that's it, I'm done.
I think I'm as good a singer as I'm ever going to be.
Okay.
Yeah. And like, I don't think any amount of like voice lessons would get me to be better to the point where like Broadway shows would accept me. You know, I like being a writer who can make people go, oh, he's actually pretty good.
Yeah. Sure.
Right. Like when you show up, like I like just introducing myself as a writer. And then if like karaoke bursts out, I'm like, oh, they'll be like pleasantly surprised.
And it's a
You can
surprise.
carry a tune.
That's
Right.
my level of singing, which I like to be at that level. But if you come in saying, I am auditioning for musical theater songs, I'm like, why aren't you better?
Sure.
You know, which
Sure.
that feels sucky.
I get that a lot. Yeah.
But in your defense, I've heard you sing several times. I've heard you sing in the musical theater show that you wrote, Fantasy Football the Musical.
Thank you.
And your song's great. And I have to say, if you've never seen Fantasy Football the Musical, and I don't know why any of the 7 people listening to this would have seen Fantasy Football the Musical, which Dave debuted, I think, 12, 13 years ago. Dave invited me to the show, and as I recall...
Oh, I know this compliment.
Yeah.
You've given me this compliment.
Yes.
He didn't look at his watch for the first like 35 minutes of the show. And that's like the ultimate Gary compliment.
Yeah.
And I'll take it.
Yeah, because in theater, normally 5 minutes in, I get so bored. I'm like, all right, is this over yet? I'm done with it. And to my discredit as an actor, I am incredibly bored watching theater.
It was like a 75-minute show, and you were still like, man, oh, boy.
But you know...
Did you really need that 6th song?
Did you need that second and third act?
Come on.
Because I was good after 1. I got the idea.
Yeah, that's a rough way to go. That's a rough thing to hear.
Yeah.
We like you. We just need someone better.
yeah. Personality-wise, you were great.
You had the character.
You rubbed no one the wrong way.
Ugh.
Just talent-wise, we're going to need someone better.
need someone better.
And by the way, they still didn't have a production of the show. It wasn't like, oh, we're doing this thing on the West End and Broadway. We're
Sure.
going to need someone like better than you when we open. It was just sort of like, you can't even like hang out with us while we're doing informal readings of the show.
While we're contemplating the idea of possibly producing the show.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't even know if that counts as an audition story, but the whole thing felt like an audition for one day possibly being in this musical professionally, you know?
Did it feel like an audition for your potential career that now you've just decided to not have?
Yeah, that was like, I think I knew, you know, because I always felt,
Huh.
you know, like when you feel you're in the right spot is when you're like, okay, I'm at my best right now. And I'm always at my best when I'm not on camera, not on stage, but I'm pitching things for the actors to be doing.
Yeah.
That's me at my best, because that's when I think I'm more solid at.
You're
And then
very
once in a while, someone needs a pinch hitter actor and I can like worm my way in.
You're
you know?
really strong. I mean, we did 60 seconds of Boston Celtics fans together.
I can always do a Boston
Your
accent character.
Boston accent is money. And if you look at like the YouTube comments, everybody's like, man, these guys are killing this Boston accent. Like these guys, quote unquote. Meanwhile, I'm sitting next to Dave. I said all of like 2 words the entire time, but I get to just sit in your reflected glory of a great Boston accent.
I can do the Boston accent. That's like my like show and tell talent, you know, and then trick people into thinking I'm actually like a better actor than I am. But it's like, I can
Yeah,
do that
that's
one
good.
thing, you know?
It's great.
Jules told me, my wife told me because because she's from New England and I was practicing the New England accent, which I'm not very good at. And she said, no, if you ever get a part where you have to do a New England accent, you have to turn it down because you cannot get it. If I think about it too much, I can't get it. You know, and like when I first start out, I can't get it.
Let me hear.
No, I can't do it.
Let me hear you say.
My hook in is Stop and Shop.
That's not even close.
That's Providence, kind of.
Strap and shop.
Stop and Shop.
Say-
Yeah, see, because I was
say,
thinking about it too much.
Oh my God, we're recording a podcast
Oh my
right
God,
now.
we're recording the podcast.
Hello, Springfielders. Ich bin ein Springfielder.
Yeah.
Yes, there you go.
That was great. That was
Thank
perfect.
you. Appreciate it. Mayor Quimby there.
Delightful.
My wife doesn't believe that the Boston accent's real. She knows that it's real, but she doesn't believe it.
People are making it up.
And so I went on YouTube. I was like, no, our mayor sounds like this. I showed her clips of Tom Menino, who's the mayor of Boston for years and years and years, and he's like, we're here at the Democratic National Party, and we got a lot of voters here. It's great.
Yeah, I could get it if I worked on it.
Well, that's great.
That's a good story, Ingber.
It is a very good story.
Thanks. I thought of it on the way over. That I
good.
knew you'd ask, and I probably have some other little chit chatty stories, but that one really sticks out to me.
If you want to think of anything along the way, please do.
Yeah.
Now to poorly segue over to Travis.
Terrible segue.
Yep.
Shouting it.
Travis, it's my worst audition. I assume you have one or two.
I have a few. You know, before I get into this, Gary, it really we talked about this on the phone, that it's a service you're doing here, because I think every actor who goes in and poops the bed on an audition thinks they're the only one, and it's the biggest deal in the world, and they walk out of that room and go down that elevator at Pearl or Ripley Greer acting audition spaces in New York, and they it's the worst day. It's the worst day, and they think that anybody. That everybody remembers it, and they're never going to get back into this audition room again, and all this. And it isn't, of course. Like everybody, shanks it.
May I interrupt for 1 second?
Yeah.
Because my wife, who was at Ripley Greer or something like that the other day, said that there was a rumor going around that someone literally did shit on the floor.
That's true. That is a true story. That is a true story. You can find it. And it was in the holding room. I don't remember what the show was, but it was like a big cattle call, like a big open call thing at Ripley Greer.
And it was probably a dog or something, right?
It was a person that shit on the floor.
Is this for real?
Yeah, it's for real. You can look it up. Yeah, absolutely.
If it wasn't Gary, then who could it possibly have been?
Maybe a year or two ago.
Now, I feel bad. Like I've been one-upped now. Now, what do I do to one-up that?
Yeah. That's good. That's all very good. No,
But you're like someone when you poop the bed in an audition, or you poop the floor in an audition.
I'm keeping it clean.
Yeah,
I can say, shit the bed. That's yeah. I have two just that stick out, and there have been countless others. The big one is it was the first time I'd gotten an appointment with my agent for a Broadway show, and it was the Broadway show called Getting the Band Back Together, and they were looking for a swing to cover all four guys. All right, so that's wide ranging vocal types and types, but they called me in for it, and it was the first. I was early in my time with my agency, and I really didn't get they send you this email, and they also send you the packet of the things you're supposed to learn. And so I just thought, all right, I got this email, and it's on a Wednesday, and I'm singing from my book, the what I usually sing at an audition, and I'll be great,
Mm-hmm.
So I got plans to go to a Rangers game on Tuesday night, and on Tuesday morning, the day before the audition, I take a closer look at the email, and I realize I have to learn 5 songs and 3 scenes, because I had gotten the notice a week before. And so the morning before, like the afternoon, Tuesday afternoon, I realized I've got to learn 5 songs and 3 scenes that I've never seen before.
And what's normal? What's normal thing to have to learn for a Broadway audition?
They do ask a lot, as far as material, but it's usually maybe half of a song, maybe 2 scenes. Sometimes they do ask for a lot, but
and then ask for more during the callback,
for sure.
Right?
Well, but even lately, it's been they asked for a lot in the initial. But the point is, I got it a week before, so I technically had a week to learn.
But that just means they're expecting you to spend 7 days working toward.
And they are.
Yeah.
And they are. That is the truth. And what usually happens, and what happened so I canceled going to the Rangers game, and I spent hours and hours that afternoon, well into the night, learning these songs.
I pictured you at the Rangers game, guys, could you guys keep it down? I'm trying to learn. Thank you.
Yeah.
A little courtesy, please.
A little courtesy, please. I skipped the Rangers game well into the night. And one of them's like a rock tenor song, and I'm a baritone bass. I'm not a rock tenor song. So there's multiple notes that are above my range,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I'm like, I got to do this. And it was at a time where it's like, you have to, you want to please everybody. You want to make sure that you're doing the right thing and all that. And so I go in, of course, I crammed all this stuff into my head. And the first thing they say, all right, Travis, we're going to have you do this song. And it's the song, that's the rock tenor song. Of course it is. And I go and I sing, and the high note comes, and I just screech all over it. And it's a mess. It's a mess. And you can physically feel behind the table them go, like you feel like, And after that, they said, well, thanks very much. We've seen all we need to see.
Because if you can't do that song,
then you can't do it. And I understand that, but it was my own fault. And just the sheer when your stomach just drops down, out of you, and you just take your book back from the accompanist and say thank you, and you very slowly walk out. It's
Did you
just
think
the
about
worst.
flipping into falsetto for that note, or you're like, I'm either going to go home or go big?
I think
go
I
home?
did, and it still sounded terrible
Really?
because I hadn't really prepared. Like I should have met with my voice guy, and I should, but it's that sense of I think with anytime you have a bad audition, it's that sense of cockiness, of confidence, like false confidence of like, well, I'll get it, that just made it horribly wrong. And as a rock tenor, they don't want you to flip into the falsetto. They want somebody who can, sing it out.
Well, but like you'd be doing the show like once every 3 months. Once every 3 months, one note of falsetto is not going to close the show.
Yeah, I'm going to write an email tomorrow, Dave, to the casting director and see if they'll let me back. Show closed in a month, so I don't.
Well, okay, yeah.
Did you let that affect you for a while after?
Oh, sure. You feel like shit, right? You feel, yeah. So definitely, because you're only as good as your last audition, and so if you don't have another one for a while, then it just feels like you're like, what am I even doing out here? How
many auditions do you do in a typical month?
It's slower now. Just we're in a slow period of time, but I think when it's going, probably 2 or 3 a week, I would say.
Okay.
So,
Just in general, like for anything, for commercial,
across the
film, theater.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, commercials, I'm not doing as much, but like film, TV, and theater, and musical theater. And I only started doing musical theater like well after college. It wasn't my strong point. And then as I got older, I realized like, I can there's a lot more roles if you can sing.
Sure.
There's a lot more work if you can sing. And so I started that, 14 years ago or so. Started singing really. So
I was asked to sing one time in an audition in my 15 years doing this.
How'd it go?
I was never asked again.
all the casting directors heard from this one.
That's right.
Like whoever the casting director was, she just emailed all her casting director friends. Was like, don't ask Gary to audition.
Yeah.
He's good at a lot of other things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had one.
I became the Jehovah's Witness of singing. Like, shut the door, don't let him in.
I had one, my other story, which kind of segues into this. They were doing a production out on Long Island at a regional theater out there of Spring Awakening. You know the musical Spring Awakening.
Yeah.
I was out on the national tour of it. I had done 2 other regional productions of it, and I got called in to go and do this. And I got cocky. Again, it's getting cocky. It's getting like, I've got this. I've done it 3 times. I can go do this. And they just wanted you to sing from the show. There's a song called Purple Summer. It's at the end of the show. You go in, and I'm like, great. You know what? Like, I'm going to listen to it, or on the recording, and like I've done the show. I've sung that song, dozens of times, and so why do I even really need much to prepare? And I go in. I know the casting director well. He's called me in for a bunch of stuff, and so he knew me, and the guy who runs the theater, he knew me. Like I've auditioned for him before, and we have a lovely relationship. I did not know the director. The director of the show did not know me. Okay, so I go in. And they said either sing from your book or sing from the show. And I should have just sung the one that I knew, like the super well, the song I do all the time. But instead, I'm like, no, I'm going to show off here. I'm going to do this song.
Of course,
I'm going to do the Purple Summer thing. And he starts, and it is in an entirely different key than I've ever heard in my life. An entirely different key. Just because I didn't look at that sheet music. There's so many different versions because they're in different keys.
And it was higher than you expected.
I'm not sure to this day if it was higher or lower. But I know I went in and started very, very low, and I saw the accompanist kind of perk his head up a little bit and look at me like, what are you doing here, right? But I kept going, and then mid-song, I panicked. My panicked lizard brain went in, and I said, I'm dying here. I'm dying. You know what will help this? If I go up an octave in the middle of the song.
Oh, no!
And physically, behind the table, you see everybody just like go, like take a gasp. Like, what is he doing?
You pulled an Aerosmith.
I did.
That's like what Steven Tyler does.
Yes. And so I finished barely, and I actually said, I guess I didn't know it as well as I thought, and like trying to cover up. And they're like, that's okay. Do your monologue. I did the monologue, whatever. And they said, great, Travis, can you just wait outside?
Oh, no.
Outside the door for a minute?
We just want to talk about how weird it was that you went up the octave. Then we'll have you back in.
Okay, sure. So I go out the door and I close, and the other people are waiting to go in to audition, right? And they're all kind of like looking at you and not knowing that like they haven't been called in yet. And I know what's going on behind that door. I know that casting director and the guy who runs the theater, like, this guy's better than what his audition was.
Let's have him do it again.
Let's have him do it again, or let's call him back in, or like really consider him for a callback because he really is better than this. And the guys directing the show was just like, fuck no. Like, why would I want this guy who changed octaves in the middle of a song? But I panicked. Oh, it was the worst. That was the worst. And then the casting director came on and said, Travis, thank you so much. That's all we need to see.
We know what that means.
Oh, I felt terrible.
Let me say something though, because I've been a part of more auditions as a writer than I have been as an actor, right? So I've done the thing where I'm sitting behind a table for 10 hours and just seeing person after person. And there are some things that people do that they think might be a big deal, but is not. Like if a song starts and the person goes, whoa, that's the wrong key, and then they walk over to the pianist, that's totally normal and fine. No one counts that as a knock on you.
Right, which is what I should have done.
If they just started, you'd be like, whoa. Can I just start that over? Because everyone behind the table wants to hear you sing your best.
Of course.
And so, but I get the temptation to be like, let me power through and see if I can pull this off.
Yeah.
But I will say that from my own perspective, and maybe it's just me, but I think most of the people I've been in the room with would agree. Like, we want to see your best singing.
Yeah.
We want to hear your best singing.
Yeah.
So take the extra 10 seconds to walk over, make sure you're on the right page. And, whisper with the accompanist, like, oh, okay, it's this. And maybe even the accompanist, like, oh, I was doing it too fast, or I was doing it whatever. And it just sounded different for whatever reason. And then you get back into singing. Then we can actually all relax in the room because we're like, oh, now everybody is on the same.
Sure, because nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see somebody crash and burn. Like, the actor, you want them to solve.
And if you're
problems.
in the room, you're probably good at this song, or like like we want to hear you sing it.
One would have thought.
At your...
Yeah.
But again, it was my own ego being like, I don't need to run this.
But I've seen people push through, and sometimes I'll encourage, be like, do you want to start that over? Like, you can totally start that over. And they'll be like, no, I think doing it rushed in the wrong key was that was my foot forward that I wanted. It's like, really? Okay.
Oh, it's just such a dumb business of going into the and being, everybody knows what you're there for, and you're judged on this 45 seconds or this minute and a half. And because you think if you panic in the middle of it, like, okay, if I can just get through it, and just get through it, and then I can walk out the door and be done with it.
Maybe they're not paying attention for this minute and a half, and I can just push through real fast.
Right. Yeah. It's a strange thing. Yeah.
Now, you've said that, you had some time afterwards, you had the bad audition where, it kind of got to you. I know we've all been there. You must have had experiences, and if you don't recall any, that's fine. But where you left the room either thinking, I absolutely nailed this, I'm going to be a star, and then you never hear from them again. Or in the reverse, this was awful, I can't believe I did that, I'm the worst actor ever. And then you do hear back and you book the
And you
part.
book it. Yeah, absolutely. I was in for, I think it was a regional production of Saturday Night Fever down in where was that? South Carolina, I guess. And similarly, went in.
A musical based on the movie?
Oh, yeah, it was on Broadway. There's like
I didn't know that
7
existed.
different versions of it, and they're all problematic.
Okay.
They're all.
I'm listening.
No, because if you don't, if you do you remember the movie?
Never seen it.
Do you know the movie, Dave?
Yeah.
What do you like? Tell me what you remember about the movie.
I remember him going, you hit my hair.
Right. Yep. You hit my hair. You remember him dancing in a white suit.
Yeah, of course.
And you remember like the music, Bee Gees music.
Yeah,
course,
yeah.
right?
I know that because I've seen commercials and clips.
But what you don't remember is that at the end there's a rape, and at the end there's a suicide, right? Or where he falls off the bridge.
Okay,
Right?
sure.
Is it a suicide or he gets pushed? I forget.
Now I don't remember.
Well,
Yeah.
thanks for ruining it for me.
I probably just saw the dance scenes on YouTube,
Yes, of
and that's what I
course.
think the movie is.
That's what everybody thinks the movie is.
Yeah.
So you make this like a happy-go-lucky musical.
Right.
How do you end? Do you end with the sexual assault, or do you end with the guy dying off the bridge, or do you end with a dance contest?
Right.
At the end, you end with and it's absolutely problematic. The show, and so it keeps getting rewritten, and regional theaters keep trying to do it.
Right. That's an interesting list. Is like, what are the movies that people think are like super positive movies, but they just haven't seen it in a while?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
There gotta
exactly.
be a few of those.
Gotta be a few of those. Point is, so I went in. I did the song. I did the scene. Literally, it was like, "Thank you, Travis," which is that's that's it. Thank you very much. And I didn't hear anything. And then 3 weeks later, they said, "Hey, yeah, we want you for this role." And I was
That's
like,
cool.
Yeah, but you forget about. I mean, you have to, as you know.
You have to.
Yeah, you have to forget about it.
Unless, it's rare that I leave an audition that I'm still thinking about it. Like, I'm done. I've sent it in. The worst thing I do is just sit on it and harp on it. Like, I just throw it away. I assume I'm just not getting it. And if I hear back, that's gravy.
I will take after I'm done and I've edited it and uploaded it. I will physically tear the script in half. Like that's my done. And
Good.
throw it
Good
out.
for you.
Yeah. What's tough, of course, is like you get to the callback and they bring you in for finals, and it goes really well, and this will make most of my year next year or whatever. To forget about it then is more difficult for me that, to let it go because
Yeah.
you're close to it.
Do you find that you handle the audition similarly, whether it's a role you really, really want or a role you don't want, or is there like definitely a different vibe when you
Gosh,
audition?
that's a great question. I think as I've gotten older, I've gotten better at that. I've gotten better at that because, of course, it's the ones that you don't, that aren't life changing or whatever that you're like, all right, if
I get it, I get it. If I don't, I don't.
And that's where I think you're most relaxed, and
Sure.
you're most yourself, and,
Sure.
and all you can do is do the work, and there's so many things that you have nothing to do with,
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know for me, that's the case. I went in, normally I'll go in for an audition and I'm just like, let me just do my thing. I'll go in if, whatever happens, ships fall where they may. But I had an audition, I guess, 10 years ago, or maybe a little bit less than that, for Sacha Baron Cohen's movie, The Dictator.
Oh, sure.
And, I'm a huge Sacha Baron Cohen fan.
Yeah, one of your heroes.
Yeah, he's great. So I'm like, oh my God, I get to audition for The Dictator. This is so great. And I went into audition, and before I even start the audition, I talked to the casting director. I'm like, let me just tell you, I'm a huge fan.
No.
So I really want to be in this. If there's anything like I have to do to like help do that, just tell me and I'll do it. I was basically one step away from like, whose dick do I have to suck? Because I'm ready to do this. Which I guess in my mind at the time thought would help my chances of getting the role. They did not. I never heard back. No.
That's similar to what I was saying though about like taking the moment with the accompanist, because that's what a star would do, right? Like if a star walked into an audition, not that stars have to audition, you know what I'm saying? Like someone who's got like 10 Broadway credits, let's say, walks into a room and the accompanist is not right, they're gonna be like, I'm not gonna like kowtow to the process and just like push through. I'm gonna like take my time and I'm gonna like do this properly.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't like beg for a job, like the star would not do that. And as soon as you do that, they like think you're like a super fan. Like just someone off the street as opposed to a professional actor.
Right.
And like, if you see yourself as a professional actor, they'll probably see you that as well.
Yeah. No,
I'm guessing.
I
don't know.
reeked of desperation in this way.
But don't you think that a lot of young actors coming to New York City or LA or wherever, like, I think that's a thing that you have to shed. Like, I think everybody has that.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I think everybody has that. Like if you get a big audition, like, oh my gosh, I've loved Wicked since I was a kid. And now I'm getting to audition, and that desperation reeks. And I wish I could tell them, or go back and tell myself, like, hey, just don't take yourself so serious.
But you can always fanboy out after you get the gig.
Oh, for sure.
Like if you got the job, you could then walk up to Sacha Baron Cohen and be like, I'm so honored to be here. Huge fan of your work. You'd be like, oh, cool. All right, action.
And then I said,
that's when you do that. Yeah. That's
optional, I think.
Okay. Just checking. I know how it goes. If that say the lines first, then
say the lines first. Okay. Get it recorded first.
Okay.
And then at the premiere, you can walk up to him and say, I'm a huge fan.
I'm a huge fan. And then,
I not an audition story, but I've only, I think, ever had that happen to me once on set where I just completely fanboyed out. Because normally, like, I'm on set, I'm here to do a job, like, and I've performed with some people who have some names here and there, and I'm like, hey, you're an actor. Travis, of course, Dave Ingber, Rob King, there's been people, but people who have names that regular everyday Joes would recognize, and I'm there. I'm just like, you know what? That's a human being. I'm a human being. We're just here to do a job. Let's just do our craft, whatever. And I'm usually just very chill about it. But I was on set for The Sinner, and I was there with Bill Pullman.
Oh, yeah.
When you think of Bill Pullman, is there a role that you immediately think of with Bill Pullman?
So I want to say Independence Day, but I know that's a different Bill, right?
No, it's the same. That's the same Bill.
Okay, then that's what I think of.
Yeah. Most people think of Independence Day. Is
that's
that what you think of?
Yep.
Most people think of Independence Day. And that's not wrong. He's totally known for being the president of Independence Day. I didn't care about that at all. The role I immediately thought of was Lone Star from Spaceballs.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm a huge Mel Brooks fan.
Oh, my God. Lone Star, totally.
Exactly. So, of course, like, I'm pulling him aside, like, I'm sorry. It's so great to meet you. And we're, like, in the trailer, like, getting made up. Like, this is just so cool. I'm sorry. Can I just, what was it like working with Mel Brooks? Because you
were Chris Farley.
I was missing Chris Farley.
Remember in Spaceballs when yogurt came?
Yeah,
was that cool?
Exactly. That was totally cool. It was complete Chris Farley, but he was so nice. He totally understood.
Really?
Yeah, he couldn't have been nicer about it. He's like, well, you want to run some lines? Because I'm happy to do it. If you want to, we can. We don't have to if you don't want. I'm like, can we run lines? Yeah, sure. Let's run lines together. Totally cool, down to earth guy. And at the end, I'm like, is it okay if like we get a picture together? Of course, get a picture together. And then then I think I took it a step too far because
Oh,
I'm
no.
like, if I put my video camera on, can we do the thing where you say, just what we need, a Jewish princess? And I go, funny, she doesn't look Jewish. She's like, I don't know. I'm sorry, I pushed it too far. I'm sorry. You're great.
I've never seen this side of you because you're like a very like understated, like chill dude. I've never seen you like freak out.
There are a select few things where it's like, oh my God, that's like, that you were on Spaceballs. It's Mel Brooks, or if I could somehow meet like Andy Kaufman's ghost, like, oh my God, you know.
By the way, what is the Val Kilmer role you always think of?
It's either going to be Top Gun or, of course, Doc Holliday in Tombstone.
Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of people would think of Heat or, like one of his dramatic roles, but I always think of him in Top Secret, which is like such a great, like the way you think of Bill Pullman in his comedy, I think of Val Kilmer in Top Secret is like one of the greatest comedy performances by a serious actor ever.
He's great. He knows how to handle the comedy.
So good.
Yeah. It was to that, like when I did the thing on Law and Order, and my scene was with Mariska Hargitay, and of course she's like the end all be all, and it was almost like this giant entity walking down the pier, like with the trench coat flapping, and her just like waving to people
and numerous tentacles.
It felt like that. It felt like that because it was like, oh, hello, yes, hello, Mariska, hello, and then coming up
and you say, do you know how many piles of laundry I have folded while watching you on TV? It's in the thousands.
But same, couldn't have been nicer, and like making you feel at ease, and just because it was chatting before we shot and making jokes, and couldn't have been nicer.
That's cool.
Yeah. She took she sort of took a bullet for me because I screwed it up. We did the a couple of takes, did the wide shot, and then the DP was like, hey Travis, can you walk a few before you start the scene? Walk a few steps so I can edit in. And I did that, and I got tongue-tied and cut from back there, and that's the last thing you want to hear because you've screwed up, and everybody back to one.
He never learned how to walk and talk,
at the same time. That's right.
That's a different school of acting.
Yeah, I didn't go to that school. No, absolutely. But immediately after, Scott back to one, immediately she shouted out, "Hey guys, that was my fault. I did that. That was on me. Sorry about that."
Wow.
And I said to her, I'm like, you didn't do anything. Like I screwed that up. She's like, yeah, but they don't care if I say it. I'm like,
that's very nice.
Right? That is like, that's the best.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Wow. Hargitay.
Yeah. That's one where, and then I was, as we were walking, like we wrapped and I'm walking off set, and I happened to be walking from the West Side, happened to be walking next to the director. And I'm like, this is my moment. Like this is my 30 seconds of like one-on-one time with the director. And he was like, hey, nice job. And that could have been it. It could have been great. Him just saying, hey, you did nice work today. And me saying, thank you. Right.
Yeah, could have left it at that.
Can I take my phone out and then you can record some lines from Spaceballs? He's like, why? I wasn't even part of that movie.
That's what I said. I think the genius line I came up with was like, so you've been in this a long time, or some bullshit like that.
Oh, wow.
And he's like, yeah, hey, I'm going to grab the van right here. I'm like, yeah, okay, cool, bye. Oh, I'm such a dum-dum.
But you did get the line right before the commercial, which is right, like, that's an iconic SVU moment.
It's yeah. You
want to tell the people what the line was?
This girl fell from the sky.
Oh, so good. I lost my mind. My wife and I were watching it. We're like, that's Travis. First, when you're watching SVU and you see a friend of yours, you always go like, oh, hey, yeah. And then you don't know if he's going to be like a part of the episode or if it's just that one scene, or if you get the line before the commercial. You made it on SVU.
That's great. Yeah, that was my peak. That was it. And it's all downhill from here.
No, you're gonna get a lot more stuff. You're a fantastic actor, dude. In all seriousness,
that's very kind.
No, like even when we performed improv comedy together, I was like, if I'm on stage with Travis, the scene's gonna go well because Travis always knows what to do. Travis, if something goes wrong, Travis will figure out a way to make it go right. I know that stuff won't get fucked up with Travis.
You want to know why?
Why?
Because he always wrote out all of his scenes. The night before, he would meticulously write out, be like, okay, if Gary says this, I'm going to say this. Like a chess player is like, if he makes this move, I'll do this move.
It's a flow chart. That's right.
It's a choose your own adventure improv.
Yeah. But he was, this guy put the work in. Hours.
It's a good bit. But it's a little bit, it's not true. But it's I did take myself way too seriously back then. I feel like I
never got that at all. In all seriousness, I've never. I don't know why you even say that because I've never ever. In all seriousness, because I feel like I sniff out people who are like a little pretentious and take themselves way too seriously. That has never occurred to me.
Well, that's kind of say. Thank you. I feel like as I've gotten older, I have relaxed a lot into it, which I think you need to do. Because I think what we talked about before, I think if you're always like on. And trying to do what pleases the casting director what pleases, like then you're sunk.
You're
you know?
toast.
You're toast. And I think I used to do that a lot in my 20s and early 30s, and I feel like I've just gotten over that. You know, or try to. God, we all still want that approval at some point. Maybe you don't. Maybe because you're like, no.
I think we're all human. Even
Yeah.
somebody like me who just enjoys seeing reactions of people like, oh, I'm just going to intentionally shoot myself in the foot in this audition just to
Right.
see what happens. You know,
Right.
There's on some level it would be nice. Okay, yeah, once in a while. Okay, yeah, Gary, you sort of are doing a good job. You sort of are on the right track. All right,
Sure.
that's nice.
You've have a philosophy though. You have a philosophy that's like high risk, high reward. And like
oftentimes, yeah.
Right. And you go into auditions being like, they might kick me out of the room, and I'm okay with that. But they might also be like, that was ballsy, that was risky. Let's get that guy.
For sure.
You know, like, and I think if you walk into every audition room like that, you will get parts eventually. Versus someone that's like, I'm just gonna like kind of stay in the corner and just like not
Right.
piss anybody off. Like that person might also get roles, but like you come in with a philosophy, like someone that like always hits on 16 at the
100%.
blackjack table. It's like that's your move every time. And
Every time.
Yeah.
What you should do. No, but I admire that about you. I do, because it's the way you put it, high risk, high reward. I'm not. There's people who are going to be totally turned off by this and are never going to have me called in. But
I know it's happened.
But when the right role and the right guy, the right project comes along, like you are then the only guy for that show, and it's a matter of time. I think.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Never know. But I've been having fun. I know you guys have been having fun.
Been having fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're getting up to like 35 minutes. I could go on for like hours with you guys, but in the interest of keeping this brief, where can people find your work, both of you? Or anything you're up to these days, or
Sure.
anything you want to share?
Yeah, my website is travis.com, so you can check me out there.
It's 3 Travises, not 2.
ThreeTravises.com. 2 was taken, so I took the 3.
Is that seriously why you did it?
Yeah.
That's great.
And then my Instagram is it's it's Travis Mitchell is my Instagram.
It's Travis Mitchell. So once again, because we had the plane flying overhead just now, it's travis.com.
Sure is.
And Instagram is it's Travis
It's
Mitchell.
Travis Mitchell. The word
Okay.
it's in Travis Mitchell.
Nice.
What about you, Dave?
You can find all of my writing stuff at travis.com. When I went to GoDaddy, the 3 Travises were taken, so were the 2, and so was the 1. So
This
I
is
went.
improv, kids.
No, I don't really have a website, or I try not to use social media at all. I just really enjoy writing. But if you wanted to check out something that I did recently, the History Channel podcast, Sports History This Week, that was something I was really proud of.
Nice.
We did a different episode each week about something that happened in sports history that particular week, right? So if the episode came out on July 7th, it was something that happened around July 7th, but maybe
I love
50 or
that.
100 years ago.
That's cool.
And we did an entire year's worth. So there was like a cool story from sports for every week of the year.
Nice. Cool.
Yeah.
I want you both to know that I purposely arranged for the planes to fly over just as you were both self-promoting because I'm very self-centered. And
I had
want
no
to
idea
see
you
all
had a
that made.
budget for this shit.
Yeah,
Like that you
really
can
good
hire
work
planes,
there,
multiple
Gary.
planes.
Yep.
You know, I'll go all in for the bit.
Mhm.
No price is too
We
high.
do. No, we know you'll go all in. Absolutely.
I appreciate it, gents. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for joining me.
Oh,
Thanks, Gare
for having
Bear.
us. This has been fun.
All right, I have no clue how to end this now, so I guess
This is the end of the podcast.
there we go. Bye. Podcast.